All right, everybody, good morning to you. Welcome to our daily Bible study. Here we are in the book of Judges and hanging out. So last week we were beginning a conversation or having a conversation about a man named Jephthah, and he has a very interesting beginning. He was kind of an outcast. He was a half brother to a lot of people. His father had, I believe it was 30 children his father had, and Jephthah was the outcast among them. They actually ended up not allowing him to be part of the inheritance, even though he was an outcast child. I could be wrong on that number of kids. Don't quote me on that, okay? So sometimes my memory, it is what it is. So, but he was definitely outcasted. They definitely were trying to get him out of his inheritance. And then all of a sudden, the whole city needs some help. And out on the fringes, there lives this guy who was a military leader, and this guy who all of the outcasts have kind of seen as their leader of men, named Jephthah. And all of a sudden, they need him, and they say, "If you can help us, you can be our leader." And so Jephthah takes him up on the offer, and he helps them and becomes their leader. They don't seek God's insight on that. They don't seek God's approval for that, and that comes with its own problems. And today we're gonna talk about one of the problems that comes with. This is Jephthah's first official action as leader of Israel, kind of king of Israel. This is what we read. And I got to be honest with you, most of what we read today is really, really good. I mean, really, really, really good. But he does one little mistake that is a critical error that is going to just continue to play out in Jephthah's life. We're going to talk about that today because we want to make sure that we don't make those critical errors. All right, you ready? Judges chapter 11. I'm going to start reading at verse 12. I'll try to stop and explain some things here and there, and we'll make it through together. This is what it says. Then Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites and said, "What do you have against me that you've come to me to fight against my land, And the king of the Ammonites answered the messengers of Jephthah, "Because Israel, on coming up from Egypt, took away my land from the Arnon to the Jabbok and to the Jordan. Now, therefore, restore it peaceably." Now, here's the thing. Here's what's happening here. Man, that's good. I roasted this coffee this morning. This is like the freshest cup of coffee you could ever have in your life. And it's good, really good. It's a mixture of beans from Peru and from Burundi, and kind of my own little blend there, and it's good. Okay, so let's talk about this. What's happening is and technically, the king of the Ammonites, if he's correct, he has a claim to this land, okay? And this is what would happen in their culture. So in their culture, if there was a people group who settled on a land that was not their own, who took it away from other people, the king of those people that the land was taken away from, they could come and request that that land be given back. And he's really requesting with a little bit of a threat, okay? The people of Israel coming up from Egypt took my land, right? Took away my land. Therefore, restore it peaceably. In other words, you're going to restore it either with peace or with war. Restore it, right? That's basically what's being said here. And if they did that, if Israel took his land, they definitely have a claim to it. And if Israel took their land, in their culture, it would be normal for them to either restore it peaceably or for war to happen. So this guy isn't really a bad guy in that essence necessarily yet. Okay, so understand that. Here's Jephthah's response. Jephthah, again, verse 14, sent messengers to the king of the Ammonites and said to him, "Thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take away the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites. But when they came up from Egypt, Israel went through the wilderness to the Red Sea, came to Kadesh. Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, 'Please let us pass through your land.' But the king of Edom would not listen. And they sent also to the king of Moab, but he would not consent. So Israel remained at Kadesh. Then they journeyed through the wilderness, went around the land of Eden, around the land of Moab, and arrived on the east side of the land of Moab, and camped on the other side of Arnon. But they did not enter the territory of Moab, for the Arnon was the boundary of Moab. Israel then sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, king of Heshbon, and Israel said to him, "Please let us pass through your land to our country." But Sihon did not trust Israel to pass through his territory, so Sihon gathered all his people together and encamped at Jahaz and fought with Israel. And the Lord, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all of his people into the hand of Israel, and they defeated them. So Israel took possession of all of the land of the Amorites who inhabited that country. And they took possession of all of the territory of the Amorites from the Arnon to the Jabbok and from the wilderness to the Jordan. So then the Lord, God of Israel, dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel. And are you to take possession of them? Right? So here's what he's saying. He's giving him basically the rundown of the history of this land. That's what he's doing there, right? Okay. And what he's saying is we didn't take this land from you. Also, this happened 300 years ago, right? This happened 300 years ago. We didn't take this land from you, and this happened 300 years ago. Are you really going to take possession of all this and all these people? Verse 24, and this is the critical error. Will you not possess what Chemosh your God gives you to possess? And all that the Lord our God has dispossessed before us, we will possess. We'll talk about why that's an error in a second. Now, are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Did he ever contend against Israel, or did he ever go to war with them? The answer is no, right? They assume no. While Israel lived in Heshbon and its villages, and in Aroer and its villages, and in all the cities that are on the banks of the Arnon, 300 years. Why did you not deliver them within that time? Right? If this is really your land and you had 300 years, why didn't you take it 300 years ago? Why wait until today? I therefore have not sinned against you, and you do me wrong by making war on me. The Lord, the judge, decide this day between the people of Israel and the people of Ammon. But the king of the Ammonites did not listen to the words of Jephthah that he had sent to him. Now, all of that sounds really good. When you read that, right, most of that, you read through there and you'd be like, wow, he handled that like super peacefully, super politically, super correct, right? You cannot find legal fault with the way that Jephthah handled this situation. Okay, I'm just saying, you cannot find a legal fault with how he handled this situation. Sometimes, if you're leading groups of people like that, you have to speak strongly. Does he speak strongly? Yes. Sometimes you have to do that when you're leading groups of people like that. You have to protect, your people, and so he's doing that. His critical error comes in verse 24 when he says, "Will you not possess what Chemosh your God gives you to possess? In all that the Lord our God has dispossessed before us, we will possess." And what he does in that moment becomes the critical error of his leadership of Israel. He equates in that moment he equates in that moment, okay, the God of the Ammonites and the God of Israel. That's what he does. He equates the God of the Ammonites and the God of Israel. Will you not possess what the God of Ammon has given you? And will we not possess what our God has given us? In other words, your God is as valid as my God. And I know that you listen to that and you hear me say that and you're like, Dallas, that sounds so little, right? I mean, that's like tolerance, right? Is you've got your God and I've got mine, right? And I have to value, like show that I value your beliefs and whatever. No. There's a difference between tolerance and good doctrine. There is, right? And good doctrine is simply this. There is but one God of the universe. There's one God of the universe. Anything else that is claiming to be a God is a false God. It just is what it is. That is what you choose to believe whenever you believe in God. Okay? You choose to believe what he says, and what he says is that he is the one true God, that there are no other gods besides him. There just aren't any, right? Anything else is claiming to be, that is a false god. That's a demon, right? And what he does here is he equates the faith of the Ammonites and their God with the God of Israel, and he holds them to the same plane. And what we're going to see is this is kind of the beginning of a trajectory that is going to lead him to lead Israel doctrinally astray in a big and powerful way. Okay, and we're going to read about that in future days. He's really going to lead them astray, because when I start giving equal validity to anything that is not the one true God of the Bible, right? The one true God of the universe, when I offer anything else equal validity with him, what I am then doing is I am lowering my view of him. I am lowering my belief in him. And really what I'm communicating is I don't believe in him at all, because if I did, I would know that he is one and only, right? That's what happens here. That's the critical error. And that critical error is going to be an Achilles heel we're going to see in Israel, and we're going to read about that in the next couple of days. So know that doctrine really matters. Theology really matters. This is why we do this Bible study. We do this. I do this with you. I do this with you because it is so important to me that you spend time studying Scripture. It's so important to me that you get to know these words. It's so important to me. It's more important to me that you know the words in this book than you know any of the words that I preach on a Sunday morning, right? Because the words in this book are so significant. This book holds within its pages the power to completely change your life, right? This book holds within its pages the power to completely transform your eternity. This book holds within its pages the greatest truths of the universe. And this is so powerfully important. That's why I don't, why do I go on YouTube 5 times a week, right? I don't go on YouTube 5 times a week because I like going on YouTube. I go on YouTube 5 times a week because I want to make sure that every person has a means of studying this book, so that when they're faced with issues like this, they don't make a fatal flaw of doctrine that ends up haunting them for the rest of their life. And I will tell you, in our culture, right? In our culture, there is a fatal flaw of doctrine that is happening right now, where religions we are being forced to be politically correct in regard to other faiths, right? And so we have this whole new realm of baby Christians who believe that all religions are made equal, and it just cannot be. It cannot be. There is but one true God, the God of Israel, the God of the Bible, the one true God of the universe. That is the one true God. Don't equate him with anything else, because there is nothing that is equal to him. That's it for today. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, you can always leave them in the comments section. I would love it if you'd subscribe to these videos. And of course, you can click that bell icon to receive notifications when we go live. And once again, if you would share this video, if you would just share this video with one person who you think would find it helpful, or one person who said to you, I would love to read the Bible, but I have a hard time understanding it, share this video with them. I would greatly appreciate it. Love you guys. We'll talk to you all later. See you tomorrow.